Today we'll take a look at the Sevenhertz 71, and this will be an unboxing and initial impression video of this dongle here. Now I do own a lot of dongles, as you can see here, dongles. Now I do have fun with them. I mean, they're actually all over my house and they plug into various devices just to power them out and give them sound. I also use them as kind of like decks in some of my speaker systems, which kind of work out pretty well. They are very convenient and easy to use, and really something you just throw around your house. Doesn't cost too much. No worries about them. Now this is the ultra budget. I mean, I purchased it for like 31 Sing dollars. In fact, let me show you a screenshot of this. I don't know why is it so cheap, but my understanding is this is like 35 USD normally. Now just to put in perspective, the Apple Dongle here costs 10 Sing dollars. I think 10 or 12 Sing dollars. And then there is something like the W2 here that costs like, I think, 200, 300 plus 400 nowadays. And then there's something like this that is nearly $400. And then there's the absurd price of the Wu Audio mini tubes here, and this costs like 700 plus. So this is like 31 Sing dollars. So that's like what, 23 USD. Very affordable piece of thing, and I just want to try it out. So let's not waste time. Let's unbox this and take a look at what's inside. So you can see here, this is the Sevenhertz 71. The unboxing style is very similar to my recently unboxed video of the the 02, I believe. Yeah, the earphones. Exactly same style of unboxing, which is fine. This is the deck, very small deck. We'll compare the size later. I'll put the deck here. And then let's take a look a little bit on things, because I just wanted to look at the specs. Now China devices tend to have very nice specs, so I mean, let's take a look at it before we throw this away. Now this is the Sevenhertz. I can see here 70 milliwatt. Let me put it closer the screen and you can take a look here. Now you can see here that this is a 70 milliwatt to 32 ohms. I think this is the noise to sound. I think this is a noise ratio of 120 dB, 20 to 40 hertz. It produced 1 VRMS, which is quite limited. I mean, this is very similar to the Apple Dongle. It means that the maximum volume of this is going to be very close to the Apple Dongle, just that it produces more power. The chip is the AK377, or this is the THDN, this is the noise. And this is 0.0004%. Really small number. It does supports to DSD 128 and DSD 64. And then for PCM, 32-bit and 384 kilohertz. Now, this is, I believe, the noise. The noise floor itself is 0.9 milli. No, this is microvolts. So it's pretty, good, I guess. I think this is the dynamic range, which is 120 dB. Yeah. Well, it looks really nice. The specs looks really good. In fact, this will probably beat some desktop in terms of the deck specs. Maybe not the power specs, but deck specs. Let's put it aside then. So let's give you a size comparison. Now this is the Apple Dongle. The Apple Dongle is here, it's the smallest dongle you can ever get. And then this is the Sevenhertz, So this is a pretty small dongle. Now if you compare to more of a full-size dongle, let's say the Quiz style here, M15, you can see the M15 is significantly bigger. Or let's say even the smaller one, which is the W2 here. You can see that this W2 is significantly bigger than this, especially once you consider that you connect a cable in. Now, this cable here is non-detachable, so iPhone users, you're out of luck. No iPhone users for you. You can only use it on Android, so I'll just use it on an Android device later. So with this, I put it all the way. Now for today's initial impression, I will compare it with one of my decks. I'll compare it with the L2, this is W2, yeah. So I'll compare it with the W2 here. W2 here is pre-old, it's not a very new deck. I mean, 2-3 years old already. No, wait, let me think. Yeah, about 2 years old already. So this is still a very good sounding and very precise deck from Luxury and Precision. But if you buy secondhand today, it's quite affordable, 160 Sing dollars, 170 Sing dollars. You can probably get even lower if you wait a bit longer. So even secondhand, this guy here is 1/5 the price. So let's see 1/5 the price, whether does it match up. Okay, let me do some connections and we will start listening. Okay, now for the first test, I will use earphones, and even though I'm using a DAB here, but you can treat it like any other Android phone, because to be fair, you won't be using this DAB with this DAC. It doesn't make sense. Well, if you're using this, you can just plug in directly. For the earphones, I'll be using the Sevenhertz also, the 02 here, and this will be my first test. Then after that, I will try with the ultra sensitive, this one, and then I'll try also with the headphone. This is the EA1000, very sensitive, 127. Now with this connected, let's try it out with Ibarra, my favorite song. Let's hear it with the 02. Okay, that is for the 7Hz. Now let's try with the Luxury and Precision W2. So initial impression of comparing the CN-E by 7Hz versus the Luxury Precision W2 for this song of Ibarra, I can tell you that there is almost no noticeable difference, at least not with the 02. It is so close that I'll tell you that no, just buy this. You don't need W2. I think it sounds identical. Well, that is for the first earphones, and let's try the next one. So this is the EA1000. This is really sensitive, way lesser power required to drive it. For this run, I will try out with the W2 first, and then I'll try out with the CN-E. So I have tried out with the CN-E from 7Hz and of course the W2 using the EA1000. This one has some difference. On the CN-E it sounds like there's more body, but on the W2 it feels a bit lighter. But it also feels like the sound is a bit more free and a bit wider, just a touch. But I think this is really for the EA1000 here, together with the CN-E. That is the difference. Very initial impression, slightly thicker body, slightly lighter body, slightly smaller soundstage, slightly bigger soundstage, and I think there's a bit more separation and blackness in the W2. Well, this is personal preference, right? I mean, do you prefer that more bodied sound? The CN-E does give you for this particular comparison. Now, next will be the last one I'll be doing, and this will be going all out. So this is the Verite Close. Now this is obviously a full-size headphone, but I find that usually these dongles actually have more than enough power to make it enjoyable. So let's try. Now on this final comparison with the Verite Close, as you can see here, I would say as the 7Hz is not very desirable here. Now this is a case where it feels very rough, very spiky, a bit more sibilance, and just not as smooth overall compared to the W2. And not only that, I think there is something different about the mids also. It's not as clear cut as the previous one, something like a bit more, I guess, a bit rough sounding for the mids compared to the very smooth sounding of the W2 here. Now, that being said, it still ran my Verite Close really well. It was more than enough loud for me to enjoy the music with the Verite Close. So actually, I don't have much complaints. I mean, if you have to run the Verite Close on this dongle, it will work out pretty okay actually if you are not a loud listener. But you know what? I'm excited now, so let's try one last thing before I move on. I mean, just now the Verite Close gave a very more sibilant sounding with the 7Hz, but let's go for something that's totally non-sibilant sounding. This is the Atrium Open. Okay, so this is the Atrium Open now, and I will try it with the 71. Now with the Atrium Open, things are very different now. I would say as the 71Hz have like less body than the W2, but overall I think it's still okay. I mean, the soundstage feels about the same, spread about the same, just a slightly lighter tone in the mids. And it is very enjoyable with the Atrium because the Atrium is not very sibilant, or it doesn't even have any sibilant to start with. It's in fact a little bit darker sounding to me than the other headphones. This is perfectly fine with the CN-E. In fact, if you ask me to live with the CN-E and the Atrium Open, I'm perfectly good with it. Now, of course, the W2 give a bit more body, slightly nicer bass, slightly smoother sound, but you know, it's all very slight. And if you ask me, for 1/5 the price, even considering a second-hand W2, this is pretty good value, very good value. But that being said, now, if you're gonna spend 3,000 for a headphone, obviously don't get this. It's kinda waste because you know you could get better. But if you are getting this and getting something like, you know, the EA1000 here, which is just a $200 earphone, or maybe even the 70, or even this thing, the 02 here, the 02 is very affordable, and this thing does, you know, help it a little bit, especially if your phone doesn't have a good DAC. You know, it sounds pretty good, comparable with the W2. I really think that if you are going to get something like the 02 or the EA1000, sure, spring forward and buy the CN-E. I think it sounds pretty okay. And that's about it. This is the box opening and the initial impression of the CN-E from Sevenhertz. Overall, I'm very happy about it. I think this is pretty good performance. Now, to be fair, now this is not an Apple device, so I cannot try with my dongle here. I mean, I can try with my Apple phone. You know what? Let's do that. So now this is my Apple phone with the Apple Dongle, and this is the Android with the 71 from Sevenhertz. For comparison purpose, you know, normally people will buy something like the 02 to test. So let's try one last round of comparison, and we call it a day for this unboxing. So initial impressions of the Apple Dongle versus the CN-E here. Well, the Apple Dongle felt a little bit more focused, a bit more bassy, and just a touch more, while the CN-E here feels more, I guess, more neutral, and I think more balanced. The bass is just not as punchy as the Apple Dongle, but the sound overall quality is more spread out. The soundstage is slightly bigger. In fact, it's slightly more enjoyable on the CN-E here than the Apple Dongle itself. The Apple Dongle is really punchy, like really strong itself, and this is just, you know, a bit more spread out, a bit more enjoyable, a bit smoother. Now, this is very interesting finding. I mean, you could buy this or buy 3 Apple Dongles. Well, you know, the price difference isn't that huge, and if you ask me, you really can consider buying this if you want a more smoother, more neutral sound, or you can go for the Apple Dongle for the more punchy and nicer bass and more focus mids. I mean, both are pretty fine, especially if you're using a $30 earphones like this. Why not, man? If you can buy both, sure. If you cannot buy both, you only have to choose one. I would say as I'm more inclined to the CN-E than the Apple Dongle. I do prefer the sound signature a bit more. I don't like so much bass. I don't need so much bass. I do enjoy the sound a little bit more. And that's about it. This is the unboxing and initial impression of the CN-E from Sevenhertz. Pretty good deal, especially at $31. Till next time, I'll see you again. Bye bye.